Hello everybody, it is Ebontis, and welcome to my Vespers host dungeon guide. Now, in this guide, my whole goal is to show you every mechanic that you're going to face, so whether you're a solo player or a team, that you can use this guide for that purpose. When it comes to Traversal, obviously you can follow along, pretty straightforward. When it comes to bosses, I will show you a full rotation. I'm not going to go through all of the damage phases that it takes for me to accomplish the boss, because whether you're on a team or solo, your loadout, or whatever else you're doing, you may have a different experience in how much damage you do and what's available. And even like Tether for my hunter right now is currently disabled, so things will be different in the future. The goal is just to understand the mechanics, and you guys can see the tools I use, and you can use none of them or some of them or all of them, and probably, I'm guessing, not very many of them. But again, we're just going for mechanics. So as we work through things, one of the things to pay attention to is just going to be your resistances when you go through here. A lot of fallen the whole time. So you're going to be dealing with arc damage, solar damage mostly. Things get close to you. Melee is a good way to kind of keep a little bit of a benefit to your kind of well-being on that front. When it comes to damage of how to manage things, I kind of use two different weapons for, this was for the final boss was the scatter signal, mostly for the clones that you'll face later on. You'll see those. For a lot of later on kind of range chunky damage, I was using this one basically just because I wanted to use one of the new weapons. In the progression through, something with a decent amount of range, I actually picked up one of these from a random drop, so I got a stats for all Volt Shot. If you do see Volt Shot on this thing, I think it might be like a story drop. Make sure you hold on to that. And then I've used Thunderlord. I used Hullabaloo for the middle boss, which you'll kind of see an explanation as to why. And then any grenade launcher is probably going to get a pretty chunky experience. And this is during this episode. So, I mean, kinetic impacts, concussive reload. I've got some grenade launcher benefits going on here amongst stasis as well. Anything else that you've got, whether it's a surge that is going to give you benefit to whatever weapon that you're using. So if you're going with arc, then probably lean into that a little bit. And then when it comes to your super, whatever you're using, I was using stasis for the early part. I use strand for the final part. And just kind of figure out what's going to work best for you to keep things at bay, get some benefits from, say, like Gunpowder Gamble. And again, my Prismatic Hunter build, not exactly what I would probably call optimal, but it worked reasonable enough for me. So, kind of a little intro out of the way so you guys know what to expect. Let's jump in. And this is the first section. This is kind of the entrance. You have to do this whole thing before it triggers. So you've got to make it through all of this together, just to keep that in mind. Now, this first section, when you get in here, what you're looking for is you're going to be looking for a scanner buff enemy. When you get the scanner buff, you need to figure out which switches you do and don't want to hit. There's a total of 6 of them that you'll want to find. And you can see they look like these little switches here. So I've got one over here. I know there's one over here. There's one up here on the ceiling. There's another one on the back of a pillar over here, or some boxes. And I think there's a couple more farther away. But you want to basically make sure and figure out which ones you do not want to shoot. That's generally what we're going for, and that way you can kind of do process of elimination. So once you get in here, you'll have a good chunk of enemies coming in. I know there's a decent amount that start over here in this corner, and the audio is going to be a little weird for a minute, just because you're going to be dealing with that like outside space before the airlock is doing its thing. So again, there's a switch. There's one up high. There's another one down here in this little area. All right, there's one. There's one by this door. And you just have to kill kind of enough enemies to get that to appear. There is our wonderful Vandal that we were looking for. So first you're looking for the scanner to figure out which ones, and then you're going to go pick up the operator to figure out which one to actually go shoot and trigger the ones you're looking for. So I don't want to kill the operator yet. I'm just going to kind of leave him be, but you want to get up close. So that's a yes. And that's kind of the sound you're looking for, is that higher ping. If you hear kind of a burl, it's a no. So that's a yes. That's a yes. That's a yes. That should be the 4 that I need, but I want to make sure I find you guys a no so you know what it sounds like. That's a no, so you don't want to shoot that one. But I've got my 4 yeses, so I should be pretty good at this point. I also need to take this viral scanner that I've got, and I want to make sure I deposit it within this minute that I'm holding it, because if it gets down to 0, you will just die. So you want to make sure you watch your timers all the way through the dungeon. Those timers are one of those things that have killed me so many times. Just be careful about those. I'm just looking for our operator enemy now. He's roaming around hiding somewhere. He'll be around. So there we go. Now I've got the operator buff. So now that I've got the operator, I know the 4 that I want to hit were the original 4 that I got my proper ping on. So we've got 1. Got the one on the ceiling. If I can get a good angle on it. And again, you don't want to be too slow here, but just make sure you're shooting the proper switches. So this is another one. And then we're going to head around to this front door over here, and this should be number 4. If you get the proper ones that you need, airlock power has been restored. So you'll notice you've got that one. And then you also want to make sure you deposit your viral operator so you don't die from that. Now, the one thing I will tell you about any of your things that you pick up, especially when it comes to, like, say, final boss room, you'll want to deposit as frequently as you can, because that will make sure that the, 1, that you don't die, so you want to deposit to make sure within that minute that you don't die, but 2, especially like the final boss section, you want to deposit as frequently as you can to make sure they're waiting for you when you need them. Doesn't really be too much in these side rooms right now. There will be secrets we'll discuss later on. That will be a separate video. But right now I'm just trying to get you guys through the dungeon, then you can get your weapon, and then you can work on your secrets later. So, that is the first room. This room up here is going to be our airlock that will open up. You'll see this little kind of scanning wall right here. That will basically take any of these buffs that you've got, any of these operator, scanner, or suppressor, it will take them off of you, so you'll be cleared off. So in a pinch, if you just go through that wall, any of those buffs will be taken off of you. So as we work through here, we'll be progressing forward. Once you kind of walk in here, you're going to see a lot of enemies that are going to show up. I just kind of stayed back at this point. Cleared stuff from a bit of a safe range. Pushed forward a little bit. You'll have more wraiths and things up here. Or wretches, sorry. Different enemies. And what you're looking for is this busted wall right here. So, if you'll come on down, we'll work through here. Slow and patient is your key. So, you'll look for any of these trip mines and you're going to want to shoot them out. So, you want to find a decent enough angle to where you can actually shoot the little trip mines. There we go. Working forward and down here. Now, as you fall, be a little cautious as you fall, because never quite know what's going to get there. A couple trip mines here. Later on, there's some even more. A couple vandals are waiting for you in here. Nothing too major. They're pretty straightforward and easy to work with. And again, there will be secrets throughout here. I'll try and get those into a separate video. This is just going to be long enough as it is, so I apologize about that in the first place. So when you come over here, be very, 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 very careful as you're working down. This is one of my first deaths I had. Trip mine got me just direct. Now, the one that annoys me is this one, because I can't figure out a good place to actually get a shot on it. So, my advice is to get over in this corner and get on the other side of it, so you don't have to mess with it. Everything else, I've been able to find a shot on, so I don't know if that one's intentionally hidden. So just be careful as you get there. And that is the opening. So this, excuse me, this will be the rally point for the first encounter. And when it comes to this encounter, I'm going to go through an explanation, kind of organize my thoughts here. So we're going to do a bit of a cut. And I swear I used this build too. So I'm just going to try it with what I've got as is, and we'll see how it goes. All right, so this is going to be your first full encounter. Now, there's not legitimately like a boss with a health bar. There is a giant brig at the end of this, so I will tell you it is going to be a little bit of a surprise when you get there the first time, but he's waiting for you. Basically, the way this works, you're going to have enemies spawning in here pretty consistently until you leave to one of these side rooms. You start with a brig that spawns in front of you. When you kill the brig, you're going to get a scanner. It's the yellow buff. You're going to get a scanner enemy that shows up. When you kill that and you pick that scanner buff up, you've got a minute. Remember, anytime you pick up any of those buffs, you've got a minute. You can pick one of 3 doors to go in and work your way towards. You can either do heart, you can do lungs, or you can do brain, which is over there. Depending on how you feel about the rooms. If I was doing a solo flawless, being as this is early in the dungeon, I would probably do brain first because it's the hardest. But on the other side, if I was going to go for just a easier explanation of the mechanics, this is the one I find the easier room to manage, to like get to and everything. So I will probably show you guys this one first, then I will show you the brain second, and we'll do lungs last. So you will pick up your scanner buff. You're going to go through the doorway. You're going to have quite a few enemies, typically a lot of the shotgun shanks or shotgun dregs. And then you're going to have 2 pairs of boss sniper. They're like big vandals basically, and they're invisible. They're not too hard to spot, but they will be picking you off until you get close enough to kill them. This room, you guys will see them a little more close range. And there's 2 pairs of those, so you got to be careful. The nice thing about this room is, like, when you kill the first pair, which is kind of down the first staircase, you can just run down in the room, deposit your buff, and then you're not really so much on a time crunch. Then when you get in that room, clear out the other snipers, clear out the other enemies, and then you'll see the scanner. Or, sorry, not the scanner, the operator. So the operator, you can either kill him and then go deposit that buff, and then you can kind of take your time to do that, and I'll show you how that works. And then once you're in there, you will take your scanner, you will go around the room. There's going to be 6 switches. You need to figure out which 4 you need to activate. 2 will be no, 4 will be yes. Figure out whatever works for you. Everybody's going to have a different layout and mentality. I typically do like an A, B, C, D, E, F, and I just have like a distinct way that I enjoy going around the room, and I'm just going to make sure I remember which 2 are no's, and I'm going to shoot the rest. Once that happens, an energy core is going to appear. You need to grab that energy core. You need to run back up. You'll be facing more bosses, so again, heavy ammo, some firepower is going to be important. However you bring it, that's up to you. And once you bring that all the way up here, you're going to actually need to deposit that energy core into one of these 3 terminals at the front. 1, 2, or 3. Doesn't really matter which one you do. I haven't really noticed if there's a distinction between them. Doesn't really seem like there is. So just pick one and deposit. The other thing to note is when you come back up from a door, there is going to be a brig waiting for you. You need to kill that brig before the shields on these depositories here go away. So that's your big thing, is pick up the energy core, kill the 2 bosses that are waiting for you on your return, get up to this level, nuke the little brig. They're little brigs all the way up until the finale. And then when you get up here, you'll have the little brig to kill. Once that's down, deposit this, and then you'll rinse and repeat. The difference is going to be you don't need to wait on a scanner, and you won't need to wait on an operator because you're going to have those buffs waiting for you in their respective terminals when you go down either of the further hallways. Just make sure when you have your operator, you're going to be shooting the terminals when you're down in these rooms. Make sure as you're picking up the energy core and bringing it back up, you also deposit your operator buff, because there's nowhere up here to deposit it. And if you're holding it while you're up here, you're just going to die in a minute. So I think that covers a lot of the verbal explanation. Going to be a little better to show it to you. So let's jump in and get this thing started. Here we go. And again, if I mess up, well, we'll have a bit of a cut in there. If I manage to do this first try, then cool. So you're going to have a lot of enemies. They're just going to be around. Now, right now, you're not on so much of a time crunch when it comes to the brig. So that one's not quite as bad to kill. These dregs, though, these things hurt. So that's why you really want to make sure and focus them down pretty quickly. One of the better spots that I have personally found to manage kind of this whole fight has been over here. So you'll notice enemies were kind of spawning on top of me. They also spawn in this region. They don't really spawn right where I'm at. And that's one of the nice things about it. I also have been using kind of volt shot weapons, so those are nice for chaining. A lot of this is definitely you're gonna want to find whatever chaining, repulsor brace, explosive, whatever can kill groups of enemies is what you're gonna want to be able to do pretty frequently because it's gonna come up quite a bit. So I'm just taking my time right now on the Brig. He's eventually gonna get down to that point where I gotta go a little firm on him. Once his face comes off, you do want to make sure you kill him quick, because if he goes up in the air and he nukes you, then you're kind of in trouble. And again, seems like we're getting enough ammo, and then if I can get jolting to start happening, then we should be in pretty good shape. Now that the Brig is down, we're going to start seeing our scanner enemy pretty soon. He should be dropping in right there. Tends to drop in almost by himself, which cracks me up a little bit. And then once the scanner goes down, when you pick that up, that's when you need to be ready to go. So you can wait a second for it to be on the ground, grab any ammo, go for a quick reload if you want to. Wouldn't wait too long. Then we're going to grab it, and we're going to go to the easy room first this way. I find this the easy one to deposit. So we're going to head down here. These dregs show up pretty quick. I swear there's also one that like teleports on top of you like that guy when this was contest mode. That was a fun way to learn. So there's a lot of dregs here. Then around this corner, you're going to have your two bosses. They're sitting over here, and then one sitting here in the middle. Shatter's putting in some good work right now for me, so I have no complaints. About 30 seconds. This one's easier to get to because your deposits are right here. Now you're in no time crunch. So at this point, what I'm looking for is you can see the invisible boss back there, and there's likely another one on the other side. So I'm just going to work on clearing up the shanks, working on those two invisible bosses, just because I don't want to worry about them too much right now. So I'm going to try and go for a jolting shot back there, try and get him to be annoyed. He's down. There's another one on the back wall as well. And there's the operator. Not really too worried about him if I can manage. Here's the other one, back here in the corner. So he's down. So now I can go a little more aggressive for the operator, but I want to clear some of these shanks. So I'm going to go for a quick jolt. Now I want to find my operator who's hanging out. So now you don't technically have to go straight into shooting the sides. So if you want to, you can just have the operator go over here, deposit, so it's ready and waiting when you want it to be there. I was doing it a little different before, but honestly, that makes life just as easy. Those little floating things are from the Dark Ether weapons, by the way. I think that's why they're kind of freaking out. So just ignore those little floating things. They're not really anything to worry about. So we're going to get our scanner. So for this room, this is my order. So this is my A. A is yes. Then you've got this side of the pillar. B is yes. On this side of the pillar. And then unfortunately it's an audio cube, but you can look at your mini-map. So that one's good as well. So A, B, C is good so far. Over here we've got D. That's a no. C, E is no. So I've got F. So basically that back wall's a no. Everything else is good. We'll go deposit our viral scanner. So make sure that doesn't kill you. And then it's kind of like, how prepared do you want to be? So you probably want to make sure your heavy's reloaded, because once you do this operator stuff, there's a bit of a time crunch, so you don't want to be sitting around too much. And the enemies really don't stop, so it's not like you're going to get a huge break. Sometimes I just do that to get a bit of a clear. So now we're going to go operator. And the one that I'm going to do last is the closest one to the front door. So I know this is one. I know this is one. I know this is one. And the last one I'm going to want to shoot is the closest one to the dunk. So here, we're going to deposit.
Radiation detected.
Here's your core. So that way I've already got my operator deposited. Don't have to worry about that one. Here's the core. And then once I get up here, need to be ready for the bosses coming in. So I'm just trying to go really hard and aggressive on these guys. I don't have a whole lot in the way of healing, but I do have my flip. So I killed the 4 in here. Be careful as you come up. There can be some shanks that have basically stasis shields. They're kind of brutal. Can't hold this thing for too long due to the radiation. Now is where I pop my super. I'm going to go hard on the Brig. And I just want to nuke him. That's really all I'm going for. Just want him dead as quickly as I can. Once he is down, the shield at the front will be open, so I can pick my core back up. Run up to the front. Pick any of these that'll work. And you're going to go ahead and be good to deposit.
Control power critically low.
And now you can kind of take a second. You can farm ammo if you need to. You can kind of do whatever you need at this point. Nothing is a rush. So this is kind of a time to gather your thoughts, get some ammo, build up your super if you feel like you want that again. Just take your time and make sure you're ready for the next room. So I don't want to wait too long because it'll be a while before I need my super up again. So that's not as big of a deal. But I figure I may as well get some ammo because I did blow through a decent amount of it. You'll also probably be getting a decent amount of your tonic ingredients while you're doing all of this farming because there's so many enemies to kill. I think I'm good for building normal tonics till the end of next year. I have so many ingredients, it's not funny. Okay, but you'll notice the scanner and the other buffs are already going to be waiting when we get to the next room, so we are pretty good. I think I'm in a good spot. So we can move, pick up any ammo that's sitting in here, grab our orbs. So now I'm going to show you what I personally find to be the hardest one, just because of the path that you've got to go. So this room over here is going to have these dregs. They're going to be waiting for you, kind of jumping down. Some will be up above. Some will be coming down this runner right here. And the flooring is not stable, so be careful about the floor. It's a good way to get yourself killed unknowingly. So you're looking to kill all of these dregs. Then your two boss guys are going to be over here on the left. Now, I was on my previous runs doing this one first, just to get it out of the way. But if you're not going for a solo flawless, I would truly say I would do this one after the first one. That way you're not in any bit of a time rush. Now, stasis is actually hitting pretty hard. That's why this is doing pretty well. Grenade launchers also, if you find this thing in about, 6 months from now when we're in a different season, grenade launchers are also hitting harder than they previously were, so that's all of a factor in here. So, we're good. The bosses are down, so this door will open. You would have to kill the bosses if you were bringing your operator buff over here, because at this point you would be trying to get your operator buff dunked. And you would typically be putting it right in here. But being as that's already done, I don't have to worry about that quite as much. So these shanks are just non-stop. Pretty much the whole way through. So yeah, the arc resist and the solar resist, definitely the two biggest ones. So now we're going to want to pick up our scanner. And again, for me, the way I go around this room is I go to the right, and I do kind of a rotation. So it's A, B, C, then I go D, E over here, and then F is on the back wall. And usually by process of elimination, you can figure out if you need... You don't really need to go jump up to figure out F. You can just figure out if you need it or not by what the other ones tell you. So we're going to go down the row. A is yes. B is yes. C is yes. I only need one more. So then we're going to go check D. D is no. E is yes. So A, B, C, E is the ones I'm looking for. They get a little aggressive sometimes. Remember, you've got a minute, but just don't forget you're holding the buff. Come back out here. So we're just going to go pretty quick down the row here. So we're going to go A, B, C. But you've got a minute, so make sure you don't die. And then come over here, not D. And then we figured out it was E. So we're good. So now I'm going to go ahead and deposit this. I'm going to go grab our core. I'm going to throw that gunpowder gamble out there so that can do a little damage first. I'm going to pick this up. This is the hardest one, to me at least. Some people may not find an issue with it. I just do. I'm going to go heavy ammo for sure here, just because I don't want to waste any time. The other one tends to run to the back. Alright, so now we're going to pick it up. As we push forward, you notice you've got a shank over there. That one is actually one that will do a stasis shield, so you want to make sure and be careful about that. This is the harder run back, so it's over here, 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 and then when you come up here, watch your radiation, so you don't want to be holding onto this thing too long. You'll come down here, Try and run ahead of this shank if possible. And then usually I'll get to about here. So I can kill this guy, I can drop it, clear my radiation. I'm going to try and get a little farther forward so I'm close to where I need to deposit it. Then I'm going to go super. And then everything I can just throw at the room. And again, you got to check on your core. You got like 10 seconds, so this is nice to just jump over the wall. We're going to pause it in the next one. And then I always just come back to this corner to gather my thoughts. So that's 2 for 2. So again, take a minute, gather up ammo, get your super going, because again, the last boss is the tough one for me, because he's just such a big one. And you got to kill him, I'm pretty sure, because the shields are going to be on the deposit areas, so you're going to have to kill the big brig, so you really got to nuke it. So when it comes to final boss damage, Thunderlord may not be the best. Honestly, it's probably not. Something like a big grenade launcher is probably going to be your better grenade shot damage. But then as soon as his face breaks, Thunderlord is going to have some nice benefits to it. But yeah, you do not want to lollygag in this final run. So that's why for me, honestly, running the first room I did last is almost a bit easier, just because it's a bit quicker to get home. So you've got more time to work on the brig because it gets a little tight. So we're going to go over here. If for some reason I die on the final brig, you guys get the gist of what's going to happen here, and you'll see the room. So if for some reason I don't quite make it, this will be the footage I'll give you guys, and then if I die on the final boss, well, we'll just cover that as we get there. So now the dregs waiting for you in this room over here are going to start to show up. There's a lot of them. They way more than I think previous. There's a ton of these guys over here. So this one's not the easiest to come back, but it's kind of up to you guys. Depending on how comfortable you are running these things back, I mean, you might want to have the one I just did be the last one, because that way you're closest to the deposit area. Really, your preference, it's probably 6 of one, half dozen of another, depending on what you enjoy running through and what you're comfortable running through. So we got the bosses up here. Again, I'm using my stasis grenade launcher. It's just working well right now between the stasis, freezing explosions, hitting nice chunks, and this thing being as it shoots 2 grenades, it seems to hit really hard. So, I'll take it. Then once you get in here, you're going to have a lot of shanks just in a pretty small area, spawning over and over and over. That's why I like the jolting, the chaining. If it was whatever's going to get your group of enemies, sunshot, some type of explosion, incandescent, something's going to be needed on that level. See all those ingredients? I'm swimming in them right now. It's ridiculous. So these two are just sitting over here. This is why I'm always picking up orbs for health. There's also why these guys are just a little on the annoying side, too. Alright, they're both dead. Now, depending on where your buffs are at, typically the scanner's on the inside and the operator's on the outside of the room. And you could use an SMG in here as opposed to a pulse. I used the pulse on the second encounter. Either one's probably going to work. So scanner's going to be in here. Nope, they actually switched it on me, so operator's in there. Which is honestly fine. It's easier for me to deposit that way. Because when the operator's on the outside, it gets a little crazier. I haven't quite figured out the rhyme or reason as opposed to which one shows up where, but that's fine. This one, it will truly be start to finish. So your points are going to be A, yes. B, no. C, no. So then I know the rest are good. So I have A, not B, not C, and then all the rest. So that makes my life a little easier in here. So put the scanner back. Again, if you're not holding one of the buffs, you don't really have to go time crunching. Makes your life a little more manageable. So there's like 100 enemies looking at you. I feel like this is one of those times where almost leaving like one enemy up is going to be a little nicer, like 1 or 2. It's probably a strategy that'll be probably pretty popular. So I know I'm going to want these 3 on the back wall and then the last one over there A. But being as I want to deposit pretty quickly, I'm going to do that one first. And then this one, and then this one over here is my last one. I'm going to deposit. Your core shows up over here in this corner. So if you're ready for it, it's going to make your life a little better. These guys get real aggressive coming in. So now we're going to grab this and run. Now this is where the big brig is going to be waiting, so I got to be really quick on my push. The least amount of guys I fight possible, the better. As soon as I get out here. Not going to waste too much time on these guys. Grab the core and run. You got to drop it occasionally for the radiation anyway, so that's not too big of a deal. Are you kidding? I've never fallen down here. This is just bad. I don't think I can get back up, to be honest with you. Nope, I don't think I can get back up. So this is all for naught. Damn, really? No way for me to make that jump. There's no way for me to get back up. Nope. I haven't quite figured out how the timer works either. I feel like it's only going while you're holding it, but... Well, this is unfortunate. Perfect time to be slowed right over that one hole in the floor. Means I gotta redo this whole recording. Ah, it's annoying. Yeah, timer only goes if you're not holding it. You piece of crap, Shank. Oh, that's frustrating. There's really no way. There's a couple of the places in this, like, dungeon that you can fall and you cannot get back up, so... Now, if that falls, can I actually get back up? So I'm technically still alive. This will be an interesting test. We've got a lot of dregs back. It's almost like this side has started over. Alright, well I will probably cut out the annoyed voice. But we might be starting this whole run over, which is probably okay. That if for some reason you get to a point where you can't, like, get back up because you're holding it, yep, you're just going to start the run over. Seems like how this is going to go. So we're just going to redo it. So there you go. If for some reason you fall, which you shouldn't probably do, but if the core runs out, you just have to redo the section it came from. So we learned a lesson. Alright, so FYI, when you're making some of these jumps, be careful about them because, like, holes in the floor will kind of ruin you. So we have a weird cut in here, but the reason I have this weird cut is because if for some reason you do drop the core or it runs out of time or something like that, you just have to go redo the room. So I wouldn't worry so much about, like, it running out of time. It's not going to just kill you. The only thing that's going to kill you is if you hold on to buffs, it seems, in this section. There's stuff that'll kill you later, but right now that seems to be the main factor. So we're just going to go do a rehash of what we just did. Hey, may as well make all the mistakes for you guys. God, you guys are annoying. Like, they really don't stop. That's the problem. There's no real break right there. Alright, well, same thing as last time. Where scanners in here or out there? Yep, scanners out there. Leave no question unanswered. So we're going to scan first. A, yes. B, no. C, yes. D, yes. So far we've had A, C, D, and E. A, C, D, and E. So no B, no F. I gotta make sure I get back to my scanner in time. Gotta deposit this guy. So no B, no F. Make sure we get this right. And apparently, you know, don't panic, and apparently you can recover. So we've got A, not B, C, D, and E. Now we've got the core showing up again. Deal with those guys, grab my core on the run. I've already deposited my buff, so I'm good to just go on by. Gonna skip as many of those guys as possible. And again, the core timer only goes down while you're not holding it. So the faster you are at clearing out anything here, the better off you're gonna be. So the longer you can hold it, the better. Alright, so we've got the core, so now I can take my time a little more while I run. I do have to deal with the radiation, but yeah, don't fall down that hole. I can drop it right here because that little corner is gonna catch it. I don't want that fall to mess me up. So, all right, now we're holding it again. So while you're holding it, again, you have a little bit more cover. So I'm going to push towards the front with this as a place to drop it. The big brig will be here, as you can see. So at this point, I need to throw everything I can at this thing. So going for the big damage. The grenades are good at the brig on the damage. And then when we go for the actual face shots, that's where we need the Thunderlord to come in. And then it kind of gets to a point where I just got to say screw it and go Thunderlord the whole way. Faces off so the crits will help. Thunderlord's nice just for the ammo reload. Got to go for this one. Please die, please die, please die, please die, please die, please die. Got to pick up the core, 2 seconds. Once you're holding it, you're okay, remember that. And then we're going to go ahead and deposit. And you're good.
Re-engaging standby mode. Welcome to Vespers Station.
And that is the first encounter with about as much of a flub as you can probably have in the middle. And it looks like I got a power weapon here. Probably need to make a little space for it. And we'll see what we got. So this is the rapid fire grenade launcher, cascade point, bait and switch, spike grenade. I think I got a pretty good roll, not gonna argue. So there's a little bit of streamer luck for you. So that is your first full encounter with a flub. So kind of what we learned over there in the brain room. If you get to a point where you have the core and you fall into a point, you haven't actually died, but you can't seem to jump high because the core weighs you down, drop the core and then just go redo the section, pick it back up and then run it back. But as you can see in here, it is a bit of a time crunch. So if you like maybe cast a super that's going to do more damage over time, you could maybe pick up the core, run around with it to hold the timer going. Then when that's done, you could go a little harder between stuff. But if you're holding the core, timer won't go, but radiation builds. And then the big brig is just the hardest thing to kill to get back here. But that's all 3 dunked, and that is your first encounter, first loot. And now we're going to go work on this next traversal section. And this is a long one, so just be prepared for it. So I'm going to take a little cut here, and then we'll go forward. All right, so once you finish this first encounter with the big brig in the end, pick up your loot. We're going to progress forward. If this is the most unsmooth, you can travel through this journey with me. But this is going to be infiltration, so you're going to be picking up power charges, kind of opening doors and kind of transferring that back and forth through to kind of make your way through. So I'm not saying I've got this perfectly figured out, but I will try and show you guys how I get it done. I think I just like managed to trip my way through it. Like I fell up the stairs to get through this one because it just seemed to happen. But it's a bit of a logic puzzle when we get to the part where you've got to do a little bit of navigating. Now, there's also things to look for when it comes to once you actually beaten the mission and you have Icebreaker, there's certain things that you can start unlocking for puzzles. So you'll be looking for like little chunks of ice that you can shoot. And those will start revealing things, and all of that progresses once you've got the weapon, I'm pretty sure. I shot those last time, so I was testing to see if I could just walk by. Oh, woke him up. Yep, that's why you never want to double. That just proves to you guys double jump is what enemies hear. You know, fun to test. See, a lot of vandals in here. There we go. So just come prepared. I wish I had a bit more ammo actually, but we'll try and make our best. And once we get out here, this is going to be pretty close to... Okay, you got a lot of enemies here. Gunpowder gamble for the dub. Might be able to get a little ammo through here, hopefully. A little, not a ton. Alright, so this is where all of this begins. Doesn't take too long to get here. That guy will drop a core. He teleported away because he's probably a little close. So what's going to happen is you're going to see, if you power it off, you're going to gain a power reserve charge. Just like this. That is going to cause our wonderful guy, Raneiks Unified, to show up. And he's not a happy camper. So he's going to be the one kind of hunting you the whole time. So what you can do with your power reserve, anytime you come up to a door with this little red hand on it, you can power it up with your power reserve. Then you'll come over here, and you'll be able to do the same thing. So typically what you're going to be looking to do is work your way around this whole area to try and activate these cores in sequence at a time. So if I remember correctly, in this room over here, so now that I've got a power reserve on me, I can actually pull a power reserve from this door, since maybe I don't need that. So I can go out here. So take this door, for example. I can run right over here and open this one up. I'm pretty sure this is number 1. And I'm thinking you have to do these in order, but I'm not entirely sure. But it would be pretty logical to assume so. So number 1 is here. And you'll notice, now that I have 2 power reserves, I can head out this back way. And the enemy that you need to kill for the core is typically going to be... you have to dunk him in order because I was able to look at number 3 before. But you need to get to number 1. So I'm going to go run over here, try and pick up the core. When you are holding the core, the big giant servitor will try and do this, like, kind of beam on you. And if it sticks on you long enough, like basically it's 4 seconds, you will die. Just straight up dead. So this guy's waiting over here. I forget entirely why he's here, but I'm just going to kill him now. Core is sitting over there waiting, but I've got enough time. Alright, he's dead. So now I'm going to run this thing back into our door for core number 1. If he sees you, he's going to try and track you with the little beam. I didn't get too close to him, so that worked out. And I didn't have too much radiation, so number 1 is done. So when you're done, you want to make sure you pick up your power reserves again so you can manage to get around this area. Now that captain is actually one that I kind of do want because number 2 is over there. So I'm going to kill him. I'll take the ammo. And then I'm going to run to door number 2, which I know is right over here. So I've got power reserves so I can open this thing up. Servitor has moved. And notice how I've got 2 power reserves. That allows me to open both doors. And then if I come in here, 2 should be right over here. And the cool thing is, as you're working through these areas, kind of stun these guys. So now I can pick up this power. And you'll notice if you pick up power, you can usually grab it on your way out. And that'll kind of help you get around like back areas and stuff like that. So I'm going to pick up this one. So I've got 3 power reserves. And now I'm going to take this core. And I'm going to go exit out this back entrance. where I had actually killed that boss. I'm going to bring the power with me. And I'm going to deposit. Notice that energy beam. If that's on you for 4 seconds, you will just die. So 1, 2, and 3 are done. It's probably about as efficiently as I could have done that. Looks like I've got another core that I can probably bring with me, but I got to go find number 4 now. So I'm going to have this fun guy just hanging out with me the whole time. Try and get a little vertical to get away from him. Just trying to get a little health back. That's all I'm doing. Captain was waiting for me, so at this point, I might have to come back to get that captain. I had to do that on a previous run. So that was 1, 2, and 3. This door is just going to stay closed, sadly. But we need to go find a core for number 4. Now, I could power this thing on if I really want to, but that's not really my goal. If you do need to, say, deposit something, notice when you get near him, he shoots all these explodey barrels, so sometimes you just gotta book it. So that's my full energy reserves. If you feel like you have too many, you could always deposit one, but it's not really necessary. So I can't really go out that door, unfortunately, so it does look like I'm going to have to kill this captain and then take his core with me. Seems like what we're going to be doing. If I could pull him closer, that would be nice. Alright, so now I need to run across. This should be number 4. Again, if he gets the beam on you, you've only got 4 seconds, so be very, very careful of that. Then if I'm in here, we're looking for number 4. I did remember this correctly at least. So we are 4 for 4 now. Got another captain. Notice the captains are melee. If you can go vertical, you can save yourself. So I'm going to go pick up my power reserve. Why'd you have to go running back? He did that to me before. If he goes running away from you, not much you can do. If I would have killed him where he was standing, probably would have been better and I could have taken the core with me. Now I got to go chase him down again. I don't know why they feel like they have to retreat all the way back here, but if you're ever looking for him, he's usually right here after you did the 3rd one at this little set of stairs. So if I could chase him a little farther up this way, it would sure help me out. Because, again, I've got to try and get past the servitor without getting beamed, because when you're holding the core, he really wants the core. So I'm going to take that, because I shouldn't have to retreat, but if I do, I've got enough energy. We're going to open up this one, and I think, just have to cross over here to get to number 5. Again, arc resistance, kind of a big deal on this one. Core still has 47 seconds, so at this point I just need to find its home. Which is not there. I've done that before. I believe it's in here. And again, this is why having all those power reserves helping you navigate this area is actually really important. So this is where I'm getting a little turned around trying to figure out where 5 goes. So my apologies on this one. Trying to get around all this area. Did this before. Core only has a certain amount of time, but I want to pick up all my power if I can from the doors. I'm going to grab that one. Grab it as I walk by. Grab that as I walk by, and then... So if I remember correctly, I think it's over in that door, and I just have to try and pray that he doesn't look at me for too long, which, if he does get the beam on you, be careful about it. But if you can get on the other side of this, we can dunk it over here. As long as the radiation does not get to 10, you should be okay. Go for the quick dunk, and then turn around and go for any healing that you've got. And that should be 5 at that point. So, we are alive. Now, if you want to go back and pull your power from doors in case you think you might need it, I honestly forget if there's more we got to do or if we just got to run by them. So I did this one other time before, and as I said, I kind of tripped through getting through it. I feel like that's it, though. Because then if you run to the left, you're going to fall down into the kind of hole in the floor over there, and you're going to go on. So I think that's it. Power reserves has actually gone off my UI, so I'm not going to try and run back. I'm just going to try and get by, and we're going to fall down here. And then run this way and fall down here. Last time he dropped a bunch of bombs into that little like AC ducting area, and I nearly died in there. So just once you kind of drop down, get out of there pretty quickly. And we should be out of there. So that is the sequence of number 1 through 5. Little out of the norm, but if you are looking for the captain for 4 and 5, he typically seems to run all the way back to 3 for some reason. So you should be pretty good if you just need to go back there. And then just bring as much power with you, should make things a little bit more manageable. So on to this next section. This is going to be a little bit more outside area. Then it's always trying to figure out where is it, because I tend to run by it. So jumping up through here, through the ducting. This airlock will open. And then... So that is a checkpoint, I believe. And then when it comes to checkpoints, it's basically starting from here. So everything you see from pretty much at this point, all the way up until we get to the boss room, it's all one run. So it's not the simplest thing to go through. There's a lot of stuff to get through. There are secrets in here, which I will do, again, as I said, in a separate video at another time. But if you're just trying to get through it, hopefully we can do this on our first take. So here we go. If not, well, there's going to be a fun little cut right about here. But if not, then, you know, we just got to go forward. So this is where you're going to start to see some of the anomaly lightning and some more of the outdoor traversal in the space station. If I remember correctly, at least. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what's up with all these wired cocoons and stuff, but it gets a little trippy. Well, wherever the checkpoint is, I honestly seem to have forgotten at this point. Oh no, we're at the boss right here. I had this backwards. So it's the boss, and then it's all of the lightning space station traversal before you get to the final boss. So this is the room for the next encounter. So you made it through that kind of traversal puzzle with the logic of bringing the power switches with you. Not really too difficult, and this will be the next actual encounter. So I'm actually going to switch up my loadout here for a second. So we're going to take a cut, and then we'll get to this boss. All right, so this is going to be your dismemberment encounter. And in here, you've got two things to know. When you get to the damage phase on the boss, it breaks into multiple pieces, which leads to very different weapons and supers and abilities than you typically would use for damage. I have tried a lot of different things, like Ward Cliff Coil wasn't allowed during contest, so that was one that is actually pretty viable. If you're with a group, be careful about shooting each other or yourself, so that's just kind of a risk. Hullabaloo, or the one from Lightfall, the compressed wave frame grenade launcher, definitely able to put in some good work. I tried Prospector, and sadly, it was either missing something, or it just wasn't doing what I was hoping for. I think this would still be okay, potentially, but I just feel like it wasn't quite as strong. Parasite, as a group, is actually probably going to do a lot. As a solo, it also seems to be just as good as anything else. So you're going to be killing a boatload of enemies, and you're going to rack up tons of kills to get that 20x. So then whenever damage starts, you start with that one, and then just get a couple more grenades out with this thing. But that first one does so much of a chunk, that's where you're probably going to get your most damage pretty easily. And also, depending on when you need to move towards the code phase, which I'll explain, Parasite's also not too bad to get a big chunk of damage out on the mini-boss that you'd use to get to that phase. So Parasite's actually pretty solid. Wardcliff Coil is good to just spray in the room because there's tons of enemies constantly, so you can do good damage there. Hullabaloo works. Prospector could probably be fine. Thunderlord, less so for all the damage types of things. Basically, anything that you can think of that is going to damage a lot of things all at once. Wardcliff Coil, 1K voices. Anarchy probably is going to have fun for some people. I keep wanting to try Legend of Acreus out of sheer curiosity, but it's just taking me way too long to do this build together, so that's another one somebody should probably try. Somebody could run Tractor Cannon. The other two could probably go full ham. If Tether was up, I would totally cast Tether, but I don't have that option at the moment. Otherwise, that would be really nice. But yeah, Parasite. I think Isa tomorrow would be too slow. Dragon's Breath theoretically would be cool, but I also think it's too slow because your window's not that big. Gallahorn in and of itself might actually be pretty good with the Wolfpack rounds and the explosions. Haven't tried all of them. I'm sure somebody in the comments or testing or Aztecross or whoever is going to find the ultimate DPS, but I've seen a lot of things. But the waves and the GLs, especially this season with the artifact, like, I don't know if this is doing that much, but it does seem to have some potential. Faster reloads. Grenades are still a pretty solid thing if you're in the middle of the Revenant episode. Other than that, I mean, I've just got like nice chunk damage here with this one for range. I've got a pulse rifle with Volt Shot that I can use pretty much the whole time for clearing ads. The other thing to know is when you go to start the code phase, there's a bunch of shanks and then exploder shanks, and the exploder shanks are the big worry. So anything you can use to manage that, I literally go into that with Transcendence, throw out a Hunter grenade, and I'm doing this on Hunter. It is the least optimal. I'm pretty sure, one, if I had Tether, it would be better, but two, if I was on a Titan with a Bonk Hammer and healing myself all the time, you could probably be a bit more survivable, so I have to play a little more protective on my run. But if you guys can see me manage to get a full damage cycle done here, you'll probably be able to do plenty with a team or by yourself. So, I do have Weapon Surge on Solar. I may actually even switch the Reloader to Solar when it comes to the final part. Maybe I can squeak one more in, but overall, I've been so many arc weapons, I had that one, but when it comes to the Surge for this guy, I'll take extra damage I can get. But that explanation out, quick run through of the mechanics. You're going to have numbers all over this wall. Pretty sure it's 1 through 9, including actually 1 through 0. But your number order is going to be as follows. This side, you're going to have 4. You're going to have 3 up top. You're going to have 4 kind of behind this wiring here. 1 is here, and then 8 is way over there. You're going to have 7 here. 6, 5, 2, 9, and 0 is over here. I don't honestly know if I've had a 0 yet, but I'm sure it will be interesting when it happens. So when you start, you're going to have a few random enemies, and the operator shank is going to come follow you and find you. Pick up the operator buff, dunk it right here until you're ready for code phase, because that'll be a while. Then you're going to kill enemies for a while. Then a big enemy is going to come out. He's going to be another one of those machine priests. He kind of hangs out around the staircase. Do enough damage to him to kill him. It's going to send you up to the top. That's going to be your code phase. That's when you deal with shanks and the exploder shanks. So manage all the shanks and the exploders first. They are very dangerous, so be very, very careful about those. Once those are done, you're going to be looking at the boss, who, by the way, while you're down here, the boss kind of hovers right here, and he just either peppers you with void shots or also drops occasional scatter bombs, so just be careful about that. But then when you're up in the top, you will, when all the shanks are down, there's going to be a suppressor shank up there. When you pick up that buff, what you're able to do is drop a clone of yourself. And when that thing goes off, it basically causes the servitor to fall apart, hence dismemberment. And what you're going to see there is you're going to see like Revix or whatever his name is, which I'm probably forgetting while I'm recording, but his name like -1 or -7 or -2. And there's 2 of them in each rotation that are going to have weird looking symbols on the front and a slightly different glow. And they're going to have, it's based off of binary, I learned. And it's going to be like 1 through 10. So basically, if it's 1 and you see a marking on that, that's one of your 4 numbers. And then if you see 7 with the markings on it, and they look like 4 dots on a compass, like north, south, east, and west. So if you see those 2, pretty much go into your chat, make yourself like a note, and record what the 2 numbers are. Come down here, rinse and repeat damage phase, kill the machine priest, go back up, same thing. When you're up there, then you'll get your second set. Does not matter the order you shoot the numbers, but once you have all 4 numbers, then you'll come down, get to a point where you're comfortable, pick up your operator buff, shoot the 4 number pads. As quickly as you can touch the last number pad you shoot, you would dunk the operator buff. There's going to be another suppressor shank that shows up right about here. When you kill that one, you'll pick up the suppressor again. You got to wait until you can drop a clone on the boss that's reasonably safe as a solo. If you got a group, I'm sure wells and other things are going to make life better. Drop the clone, it's going to separate, and when it comes to the damage, some way to do the most damage possible to the biggest group of enemies possible. That's why the wave frames, the grenade launchers, and that type of stuff is going to be probably your biggest benefit, along with supers that can do what they can. So that's, I think, the best explanation I can get you at this point. So let's jump into a full cycle of damage. I'm going to try this with Parasite just to show you that as an example. And then I'm going to cut forward so you guys don't see however many damage phases it takes. It seems for me it's like 5 or 6 as a solo. And once we get to the end, we'll move on to the finale and the next section. All right, so here we go. Let's run up and get this thing started. Come up here. Raneiks Unified, if I mispronounced that. I'm sure I'm not even saying it right. He's just going to drop those occasionally, those little explodey bombs. Does that up top too. And he'll occasionally just pepper you with the void damage. Normal enemies are going to spawn right now, just some Vandals, some Captains, and then you'll have the Operator. He's just going to come find you, so if you just stay in the back, you'll eventually get him to come your way. And then when the Operator's here, all you got to do is kill him, pick up the buff, and then you just got to go deposit it. So this is kind of the easy part right now. Grab this, put it in here, and you'll come back to using that later. And then at this point, you just need to kill enough of the Captains to get the next wave to spawn. When you do a wave, you'll get enough enemies to spawn that will be kind of just the Vandals and Captains, and then you'll know you're kind of getting into the bigger wave when you get to the point where you see the big wave of Vandals, or the Marauders spawn. Those are going to be the invisible melee guys that really just want to kind of run up and give you a hug, and their hugs are not very nice. So these guys right here, when they start to show up, be careful. They're definitely going to be coming on pretty strong. And there's like 5 or 6, and they can come from both sides. I was standing over here in the corner for a while, so they're most likely going to come here. But as you can see, enemies come from both sides. They can kind of trickle in both directions, so be wary about that. And then if you feel like you can get comfortable with doing damage to some of this stuff out here, that's when you can really start to go for the big guy in the middle. Sometimes enemies just teleport on top of you, so that's also fun. As I said, there's usually enemies in the backside, so you got to be careful of the kind of reverse direction that you might not expect. So I'm going to go try and drop a parasite on the big guy right now, because I've got an orb here I can pick up. Should do a good chunk of damage to him. Maybe not the most in the world, but I'm going to go ahead and put those on him. That'll keep him busy for a minute. And then once he's down, which shouldn't be too long, if I can just get a good angle on him, we'll go to the other side. Transcendence is up, which is usually what I use for a bit of defense. Okay, we're switching over to the other side, so I'm going to pop Transcendence. Alright, so I'm going to throw my grenade here as just a little bit of defense. I'm going to throw out those. And again, trying to just keep the homing shanks off of you. These guys are the worst part of this. That was way too close. But again, I have my exotic, so when I flip, I do get a little bit of health, so it kind of saved my bacon there. So once you kill them all, a viral carrier will approach. That's going to be your suppressor shank. So do what you got to do to kind of work your way up. He's going to drop those bombs occasionally. Don't go running when those are coming out, so kind of wait for him to turn color. If he does that integration on you for 4 seconds, you'll die, so make sure you line of sight that thing. So I'll come out here, grab this buff. Now for me, once I know he's dropping a big load of those bombs, I'm going to come up here. I like to drop it right here. It may not be the best spot, but it's usually pretty reliable up on that thing that I can make sure that it's going to go off, and that's going to cause him to separate. When he separates, you're going to have them all come out, as I said, then you're looking for those ones with like the nodes on the front. So number 1, again, I think it's based off a binary I saw somewhere, so shout out to the code breakers in the world. So we saw a number 1, and I've got a number 8. So those are my 2 numbers, the first set in my code. We're going to jump up here, and I'm going to make a note. So I've got a line to make sure I'm on a new damage phase, 1 and 8. I know where those are going to be. Got a couple enemies down there taken out. And I'm just going to drop down, pick up a few things, run to the back, and then rinse and repeat. Biggest thing is just killing yourself half the time, so try not to do anything like grenade or rocket yourself. Anything like that always gets to be a bit precarious. And you'll know you're on the Marauders when you get that big wave to spawn right up on the upper deck. Up there, that's when you know the Marauders are out. And that's when it's time to look for like 6 or 7 or 8 of those guys, because they will definitely be around, and they will be coming in hot and heavy. So one thing I like to do is throw a slow grenade right there, along with a big gunpowder gamble. Most of those will kind of come that direction. At least I know nothing's going to run over there. And if they're all grouped up over there, it's a good way to kill a nice group of Marauders. Works pretty well sometimes. Not always, but again, this is probably far from an optimal build. It's just what I'm using at the moment that seems to do okay. Gets the job done, lets me explain everything to you guys, and outside of that, you guys will all find builds that are more optimal. That guy is like moonwalking, it looked like. Just sliding across the ground. Ammo is obviously not too much of an issue, as you can tell. It's mostly just surviving the chaos. So at this point, same thing. I'm just looking to get an opening. I'm already up to 20, which is not hard to get to. So then I just got to find a line of sight on the big guy in the middle. Now, if you can hit him with a grenade and you're going for that grenade debuff, that's a way to have my big grenade take a little more damage on him. I'm going to try and get that. I've got an orb right here for a little bit of health. So that'll hit him a little harder. And I can probably kill him with just my 2 melees. Yep, we did. So we're reloading, popping Transcendence. Gonna put my grenade up for my defense. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, you guys can see it goes poorly most times back here, but sometimes it's smoother than others. So all the exploders are down. That was way too close. I'm just going to unicorn him for entertainment value. It's more fun to do that. It's not doing any damage to him. It's just fun to let that go off and go crazy on him. Viral carrier will be up when I can kill those last couple. Boost. Oh, we got a couple stragglers out here. Alright, viral carrier is up, so we're going to wait for him to come out. Don't make your push while he's all glowing in orange because he's dropping those bombs. Do that once you feel like you're a little bit farther and can go for it. Now is a bad time to do it. His timing is not consistent. Let's just go with inconsistency. Alright, so once he's doing that, I'm going to come up here. Drop this down. I'm going to try and line of sight him for a minute because my health is really struggling. He's breaking apart, so I need to get a little recovery. Going to go to get a line of sight to look at who's up. Looks like I've got a 4. And a 2. Alright. 4 and 2, so we have our full code at this point. So 8, 1, 4, and 2. So I know 8 is over there, 4 and 1 are here, and then 2 is on the backside. So I'm going to do everything out front when I go for my code. And then my 2, my easiest one to prep up and set, is going to be my last one. And that's just my preference of how I like to do that. Just allows me to kind of control my exit when I go in for damage. Alright, so at this point, I was doing some testing. Parasite, I think, is working pretty well for me. So currently, I am 2 damage phases in. Doing pretty good. Trying to get some armor charge up. My numbers are going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 2 is the last one back here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go pick up my operator. And then I'm going to go start with the front side, which is going to be the 4, the 3, and the 1. And then from there, but the biggest thing I got to go when I'm like, I feel like I'm surviving. Sometimes it's a little chaotic out there, and I don't like to run into just pure chaos. Try and get an orb if I can. That really helps the health there. Okay, so we've got 4, 3, 1. Some order. I'm sure it's not quite exact. And then 2 is going to be over here. I just want to make sure everything's set up. Make sure I'm reloaded anywhere I need to be. And when I hit the 2, I'm going to deposit as quickly as possible. So 2. Did a little testing on where to place our fun little suppressor guy. So pick this up as you run across. I'm going to literally place it right here by the window. Doesn't let him get quite a direct shot on me. I'm going to go Transcendent for damage resistance. Then I'm going to go for the break, which should happen right then. And then now, everything should hit. There's your Parasite hitting. So I'm going to get a reload out of that flip. It's a huge bit of damage there. So, pretty solid damage. That's 3 phases with Parasite as a solo player. So that's the idea, is you run around, and again, there's a cut in there, I know, but this one's just a little bit smoother, and Parasite so far seems to be working really well. When you go for the numbers, biggest thing is shoot the last number that's the easiest accessible from back here, dunk the buff. When you pick up the suppressor, I usually put my little suppressor clone right there by that window, and then turn on Transcendence, turn on everything else you need. And then when you can get your damage on the boss, do it when you're ready. So I'm going to head it forward and just kind of get to the end of this damage phase and should be able to wrap it up as long as I can stay alive. So we're going to take this one patient. So I'm going to cut ahead to the end.
Alright everybody, we are on the last phase at this point. One thing I wanted to explain is when you're going through the enemy wave phase, when the Marauders come out, you actually need to kill all of the Marauders to be able to get the actual priest guy to spawn. And I learned that because one of the priest guys was kind of stuck up by one of the back doors and I kept looking for the priest in the middle. And the Marauder was just like nowhere to be found. Finally I did find him along the back, so if you ever have a point where this like boss priest is not coming out, you probably need to go and look for the Marauders, these guys that charge you, the melees, because I think you have to kill about a total of 6 of them. I think in grand total it's something like that. And they tend to charge you if you like hang on one side, they tend to group up together. This is always fun. So you've usually got a pretty good group of them around, depending on what direction you're coming from and stuff. So it's one of those that I did want to point out. So let me go get my code and then we'll go for the final damage phase. 9 is on the far side, 7's going to be my last one. Make sure I'm reloaded, make sure everything's ready. See if I can do this optimally for you guys. So here's 7. Go for the dunk. See if I can get this guy. Quick pickup. Gonna go ahead and drop my bomb as I walk by. And I'm gonna go try and proc that one. I'm gonna go Transcendent. I'm gonna get my super going. And then if I can get a nice big pop in the middle with, looks like I should be able to get this. Looks like I'm down to just a sliver in the back there. So now I think I'm just trying to find the real one. So this is weird, getting down to this like last little sliver here and I haven't actually killed it yet. Trying to hit all of these things I can. There we go, finally get the real one. And that is a wrap. So that's how you're going to get some of those volatile nuggets and some of those more specific ingredients for some of the things. Looks like I got a 61 roll on the Spacewalk Grasps for my Hunter. Interesting look probably on the whole set. So at this point, I'm going to go for just a little cut to kind of orientate some things because we're going to have a little bit more range at this point. So you are probably going to want something a little bit more range, pulse, scout rifle, something different than this just to be able to get through here. So I'm going to go back to Thunderlord just for range damage when I need it. Probably run around and pick up some heavy ammo, and then we will get rolling. All right, so when you're ready to move on, just look up. And we're going to go ahead and climb up in there. Actually, it might be a little difficult to get up in there. But either side, you can just come up here. Any buffs will get cleared, obviously, but we're going to go through this side where that one loner servitor kept running to. And we're going to proceed forward. I'm going to try and remember where the checkpoint is at. And again, I know there's secrets that people will find through here. Some of the ones for the catalyst, you're looking for like a stasis crystal you shoot with Icebreaker. Some interesting stuff they've done. There's nothing really up here, so you are going to fall down. Just be careful. And when you get out here, you got a pretty good view, but this is the checkpoint. I do remember this because I got pretty far and then I actually died. So keep in mind that this is the checkpoint all the way basically until the boss room. All right, so as I told you guys, this is the checkpoint and I literally just died, so we're going to do this again. But you probably are just going to see a cut right in there, but that's why. If I can take his face off from here. Oh, here we go. Nice, makes my life easier as I'm working my way up there. All right, so we're going to go over here. I personally have found my way to get up here. I've got a feeling there's got to be a better one, so there's probably going to be a ton of comments being like, what are you doing? But from here, I have jumped up to this little rafter up here. This piece up here, you can get a nice vantage point if you need to fight the brig up here. Then I've just jumped over here. And I'm sure with the right traversal kind of boots, you could get through here a little better. Up here. Looks like I do have some sniper ammo, so that's nice. Again, you got space sound, so it's a little muffled. And this is where you're going to see the anomaly. This is the lightning strikes that you're going to see all through here. These are what are actually when the floor is lava for the final boss room. Oh, come on. Wow, really? He's right in my scope. Anyway, there's one or two more up there. But when you're going through here, you're just trying not to land where the lightning's going to be landing. So that's just kind of the key, is to watch the timing as it's glowing and coming up, just to not be in that like actual zone. So you can be close to it, you just don't want to be actually on it. Come over here. Last time, I don't even know how I flubbed this jump. It's like I hit the little sidewall here and I didn't quite make it around the corner. Oh, he might be falling down to, well, very far down there. Not sure what's up with him, but that's fine. We're going to jump on over here. And I know there's going to be secrets somewhere all through here. Somebody's found them all, so there will be a future video when I track all of those down on a separate run. Now, unfortunately, missed opportunity. There's nothing way down there, unfortunately. So we are going to be kind of making this run as the lightning goes off. So try and give yourself a place to start in between the lightning. And then as it comes in, all you're going to do is try and follow it. When you get around this corner, you're going to have some enemies around here. So just know that you're not going to be alone. This is why something a little more powerful just for this section to get through it and kind of overpower the few enemies you're going to face as you're going through Traversal makes things a little bit easier. Very cool lookout here, though. Definitely some craziness in a broken space station. Watch your footing. And as we work through here, going to have some more enemies up in this direction. Now we're going to get a little more indoors. No more puzzles or anything like that we've had previously, so no more logic puzzles just to get through. Just got to get to the boss room and survive everything it throws at you. So that's why something for me like Thunderlord is just kind of a no-brainer, because it's powerful enough to take on most things that are going to be coming at you. Alright, once we get in here, door will open. Alright, now, this is a weird one for me. I'm not entirely sure the best way to manage this besides probably like sprint, but you want to clear out any of the trip mines that you can see. Why does it look like I can see that one? Oh, that's the other side. If you kind of go down this middle line, you've got a couple over here. You can actually somehow see that one. Don't ask me how. This one I feel like you almost just need to sprint, because technically they're above. Like, I can do a gunpowder grenade to do it, but just for the sake of experimentation, you could cast a super because you're going to get a rally banner anyway. Whatever you want to try and do, I'm just going to try and like go for it. And apparently that was absolutely anticlimactic. But previously I've done a gunpowder gamble and shot it up there. You could probably do a few things to explode it, but it is just one of those weird ones to me that's like somehow sitting there waiting. This is where one of the secret rooms is at. Definitely something we'll get to on another run, but for now we're just trying to get straight through. So as you're again going through, just trying to shoot any trip mines you see just to make sure you don't blow up. Feel like there's always one that I can't quite get an eye on. Most of them, I think you can, though. Now this is a pretty chunky, like, machine priest of a room here. Now, I've got a sniper this time. Last time I had my grenade launcher, so it's a little bit slower. He's going down a little quicker, but I don't want to go down to his, because honestly, this is still part of the checkpoint. You would have to go all the way back to where you first see that brig up high. So that is why I just take this really slow, really cautious. Do not force this. You're going to have some ads in there. Look for those. There are definitely going to be a few stealth ones. Trying really hard not to get frozen, but man, he's not making it easy. See if I can unicorn him. I swear he just crouched my unicorn. That is a unicorn official. Those are always fun. See if that kind of ruins his day a little bit while you're waiting on him to be done being annoying. And again, this is more of just a safety precaution. It's not totally necessary to probably be this cautious. You could probably just run in that room if you really want to. I'm just trying to not die by any random occurrence. There we go. Because when you get this far in and you've died previously, it's much better to stay safe. Gonna have a few ads over on the sides. right, pick up any ammo we got. Nice little refill. And this is the final run. And this is where it is brutal. I got to this point and I had to redo pretty much the whole previous stuff. So we're trying to get across and make it all the way through. So it's just where it gets kind of spicy. I actually did this the other way. I went up top so I could avoid that first one, I think. Nope, you can't make that full jump. I think you just have to wait on the timing. Because this one wasn't getting lit up previously. There it is. I really just watch the timing. Try and land after it's dissipated. And if you can just be trailing it ever so slightly, you should be in decent shape. We're going to go over here. Land on this. We're going to hit the staircase right after. And again, if you can see it land, you're probably going to be pretty close behind it, which is exactly kind of where you want to be. We're going to go across when we get the option to, and then we're going to jump back over. I did this last time, and it's a weird jump. I feel like somebody probably ran that pipe up there, but I never trust it. I think it's that one right there that I actually jumped to previously. Just doesn't feel like you're going to be able to make this. Barely by the skin of my teeth. Make sure you got at least a decent amount of mobility when you're out here. Really stretch those jumps out. And then once we get in here, see the caster complex. It's not too bad through here, just kind of a different named area, nothing too crazy. Does look cool in here, very deep stone cryptish, and just another space station for Destiny. Up through here, and we've got observation and control. And I'm guessing you're probably going to think we're close, and by the sound effect, I'm pretty sure you guys are right. Up here.
Stay back. That exoframe is the center of the corruption.
So that is the exoframe. This is the boss arena. When I do my explanation, I get up here much later. But a couple things to mention. So when you come up here the first time, well, when you come up here for damage, floor is going to be lava just like we were running through, so you are going to need to move around quite a bit. And that's why the solo run is going to be very slow and tedious for me. Partway through the run, you are going to be killing more of the clones, which I'll show you once we get a little bit later. And when you kill enough of the clones, this is the door you'll be going down in over here, which I'll show you guys a full demonstration of this loop. I just don't do the most damage in the world. And he's always back and forth between these three platforms, sending some clones at you. He's going to cast an anomaly shot the second time around. Like, you'll kill enough clones, grab an energy core, go in here, and I'll show you that whole cycle. Second time you see the anomaly call out is when you need to go back into this airlock, and that is where you'll actually be able to go kind of rinse and repeat the damage cycle. So you come out here, that's the Atrex kind of backup clone. So as you can see, that's the anomaly craziness right there, so you need to come into here. And that's basically what's going to allow you to survive that crazy anomaly shot. Like, you basically passes over like that. And then you would come in here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut forward to the video that I have previously done to finish this up and show you a full damage rotation in here. So on to the next step. All right, so this is the final encounter. I've probably done a bit of a cut to get here. Now, in this room, this is the first room. And you'll notice we've got numbers around the room. So the sequence of events here is the boss is going to spawn in the middle. And then he's going to spawn a couple of clones. And with that first set of clones, you're also going to get a suppressor enemy that you need to kill, pick up the buff. And then you need to be able to drop a clone with your Q button for me, which is basically your grenade button. And when one of those clones is close enough, you shoot the clone. Kind of similar to the way that you would handle the previous boss. To break it apart. You shoot that to kill one of the clones. If you got to do it twice, that's fine. They usually tend to hang on both sides of the room unless you can kind of get them together. Now, when you pick up the suppressor debuff or buff that you've got, it only lasts a minute. So remember, you're going to get 2 waves of clones. So you'll go through, like, one spawns over here, one spawns over here. You'll pick up the buff, Maybe you kill one over here. Maybe you kill one in the middle. Watch your timer. He's going to spawn a second set of clones. Now, when I say only a second set, the big key here is if you don't kill the scanner or the operator enemy, they won't actually drop their buff. And then if you don't pick it up fast enough, then you're going to have to go through another wave of suppression and kill the clones to get that other enemy to come out. If you can manage to get the sequence smooth, which hopefully is the example that I'm going to show you all here, is 2 clones, second pair of clones, deposit the suppressor, then kill the scanner guy, pick up the scanner. The way you know which scanner, which numbers you need to shoot around the room, like the red ones, you need to walk up to each of these panels, the 1, 2, 3, and 4 here, and figure out which one pings on your minimap and makes that sound. Then make sure you go deposit that. Then you're going to be looking for the operator. Once you've got the operator, then you're looking for all of the numbers. And that's where it gets a little interesting because they are strewn about the room. So for your number 1s, I'm trying to do this without starting the boss, so it always gets a little interesting. So we've got a 1 here, we've got a 1 up here, we've got a 1 over here, and then if you come back here, should also have a 1 right here. So your 1s are here, 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 and here. Now your 2s, you can actually see one of them. You've got a 2 here, you're going to have a 2 over here. So that's the one on that side. Then, when you look up, you've got a 2 on this pillar. And then, your last 2 is right here on this pillar. So, pillar, and here. So, if you're standing in the middle for the 2s, you've got 1, 2, 3 over the door. And then 4 is going to be on the back side of this. Then, for your 3s, you're going to have a 3 here, 3 here, 3 up high, and then your other 3 is up here kind of in the wiring. And then for your 4s, come over here, this is one of the ones that's more on this side, you're going to have a 4 here, you're going to have a 4 here, you're going to have a 4 over there, and you're going to have a 4 up here. So this is the one you probably can't see. So here and here, here, and then on the back side of this 4. So, once you do those pieces, and you actually shoot all 4 of the numbers, the boss is going to go below. At that point, any enemies that are left will still be up. You can kill those, work on ammo, gather your thoughts, wait on your super, whatever you want to do. I am going to separate this in pieces, so if you want to see the gameplay for this piece, you can watch the remainder of this section. If you want to jump ahead on the timestamp to get the next explanation, just follow the timestamp, jump ahead to the next one, because that below section will be a different piece. But we're going to start here, and I'm going to show you guys an explanation. Probably going to cut ahead unless I just get this on the first take. All right, so to kick this off, we're going to come over here, get him to spawn. You're going to have some enemies that come out from behind you, and you're looking for the suppressor guy to start. So I got the clones up. Looking for a suppressor. And notice these guys, when they get near you, they cause a radiation buff. And if that gets up to 10, you just straight up die. No real question about it. So we're done there. So we're going to try and get to this guy over here. Same thing. Going to go with the fusion. That's 1 set. I'm at 44 seconds. And your goal at this point, watch out for your bigger, chunkier guys at this point. So here's your second set of clones. I want this guy over here. And I'm trying not to kill the operator buff. So if I can get both of them in the middle, this will work well. Now that's the operator. I don't actually want to kill him yet. So I'm going to deposit that. Now we're going to go get our scanner. Scanner we can pick up. Going to kill a few more ads here. Trying to get an orb. Now we're going to walk by and listen for a ping. So that's a no. Nope. Yep. So that one is, so that's a 1. So I want to deposit this. And then if I can pick up the operator before it goes away, then now that I've got the operator, I have a minute to shoot those. So again, same thing here, trying to make sure you get an orb, try and get to survive.
And again, we are looking for the ones. And you got a minute to shoot them. This is not the hard part. Get yourself a decent clearing. All right, so as I said, you got your ones. One there. I do this wrong like every time. One there, one here, and then one over on this door over here. Cleared all 4. So now you'll get that audio cue that it's gone below. And at this point, you can clear all these ads out with whatever you want. And that should be clear. So now you want to make sure before you go down, you plant your operator buff. Otherwise, you have to go hunting for it. And that's why the operator, once you kind of learn where all the numbers are, you pick up your operator, shoot them, do some clearing, but make sure you get that deposit before you go down. If you don't deposit before you go down, there are a couple of rooms, and I will point them out where you can pick up a buff that you may have accidentally held onto. But if you deposit them, all 3 in this room here, they will be waiting for you in the rooms that you need them in. So my advice, make sure you always deposit before you leave this room and go down. That way you're not hunting for your buffs. Now, for part 2, what's going to happen is, again, I'm going to do an explanation, and then I'm going to show you the gameplay. Otherwise, I'm going to have to cut ahead and do it again. But the idea is when you go down, there's going to be 2 different rooms that you can navigate to. Each one that potentially has the boss in it is going to have to go through a laser corridor. A lot of people are just running through and kind of skipping most of it. If you want to shoot them, that might be okay. The problem is the boss's clones will be chasing you, and they have that radiation buff, and if it builds up too fast and it gets to 10, you're dead. And it can happen quick if you kind of get stuck, and 2 of them are on you, it's trouble. So, my advice, just run it. If you run fast enough and they, explode kind of just singularly, and you break one of them, no big deal. So, what you're going to do is you're going to run into the room and see if the boss is there. When that happens, if you see the boss, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to pick up the operator buff, and you're going to need to shoot the 4 red, just normal looking panels. Like, not the ones with numbers on them, they just look like the normal old school panels, and there's 4 around each room. When you shoot those 4, you will need to deposit back your buff, or if you're with a group, everybody could have a different role. And then at that point, somebody's going to need a scanner. And so you'll need to go pick up the scanner. And what you'll need to do then is you need to run around to the clones, and you'll have to look at them on the minimap to know which ones are the clones and which ones are the kind of fakes. But when you run around, you'll see the little yellow icons on the map, and then if you run near one, it goes, obviously that's not the right one. If you get near the right one and it's the correct one, you need to destroy that clone quickly. When you do that, if you've got the time and you think you could go deposit your scanner buff, it makes life a little easier heading to the next area. If that doesn't happen, that's okay. But you need to pick up the energy core that specific, clone dropped. The scanner told you was the good one. And at that point, what you want to do is when you pick up that core, you're going to run into the room underneath, like kind of in the little lower area of each of these rooms I'm going to show you. And then you're going to deposit it, wait for the whole like burnout to go through, and then you're going to navigate your way to the other room and do the same thing. So, kind of up to you on how some of this goes, but there's a lot of different loadouts and things that you're going to be able to do in here. Once you've done that on both sides, the boss's shield that you can see down here, the corrupted puppeteer, the white part, will go away. You'll eventually work your way kind of back into the main area, hit a teleporter, and you'll come back in here, and then you'll be able to actually go up and do damage. So, what we're going to do now, we're going to go and try and get you an example of this gameplay, and hopefully we can get this to work. All right, so this is going to be the example for phase 2, and these little scanner walls, again, if you're holding on to one of the buffs, it's going to take it off of you. Now, if that does happen, and it actually will basically have to happen, generally more often than not, when you do the deposit of the energy core, which I'll show you guys when we get down there, you'll typically have to pass through the little into the energy core room, and whatever buff, typically the scanner one you're holding, unless you can get back and deposit, is going to get taken off. So what you'll notice is, if at any point a buff gets taken off you and you can't track it down, you're going to have to go to one of these 2 rooms that you basically drop into, but you can kind of circle around this weird figure 8 to get back to them. You just kind of got to know what they look like. So this is one of them. Now, first thing is I literally just come in and run, because the enemies, I've never pulled one that far, The clones on your back right there that come in, they're going to spread that radiation, and you don't want that. Now, what you're looking for when you come around this corner is hopefully not more of those, but you're looking for the boss. Looks like I've got him. This is the pain in the butt room because he snipes and he's got no chill when it comes to, like, angle where he can hit you from. So, I try and get up here. Now, what you're going to be looking for is your operator buff. Sometimes it's back here. You can check. I see the scan right there. And so if the operator is going to be right there, you've got 4 panels you need to shoot. One there, one down here. There's one underneath right there. And then there's one actually in this little cubby hole over here. So once you feel like you're in a good health position to go for it, you can need to go over and grab your operator buff. And this basically starts the timer, so you got to be prepared when this happens. Now, the timer really gets going once you've hit all of them. Now, if I'm going to go deposit over there, I'm probably going to hit that one on the way. So the last one I need to hit, I'm trying to crouch so he can't snipe me for a second. This is the last one under here, and then I'm going to go deposit. Now you can see I've got the sector purge protocol going on, so I need to go grab the scanner buff, which is down here. This is where it gets a little hectic. You got to go find which ones are real and which ones are fake, and also not get absolutely destroyed. So it's not that one. If I can get a little health back, you do run low on time. Not that one. We need to figure out which one of these. Is it this one up here? It's this guy, so I'm going to try and nuke him real fast. When you grab the core, this is the point where you just basically need to run. I'm going to get the buff stripped off of me, and you want to deposit as quick as possible. Don't have a lot of time when that happens. If you have enough time to go manage to get to put the operator buff back, that's fine, but if you don't, you're not alone. Now, when this all gets done, you might have a couple of clones out there. We're going to go ahead and actually go pick up our suppressor buff, which for me, I think was hanging out over here. And I'm going to use that to kind of clear off a couple of the clones, just because I don't want them chasing me around for a little while. Depends on if they actually take the bait or not. Biggest thing is just make sure you watch your time. So again, there are going to be clones out there. I'm trying to do this so there's less of them chasing me. Same thing here. If I got 2 more. So now I can go for both of those. Maybe get me a little ammo if I'm lucky. We're doing all right. Now these guys tend to just keep coming back. So they're going to be waiting for you up here. But I need to go deposit my suppressor buff before that kills me. So be very wary of that time. I probably pushed this one a little far. And again, if you can kind of play the cat and mouse game with the clones, you're going to be able to get around. Now, you could run to the other room that way, but I need to go find the operator buff, so I need to figure out where it's at. So these 2 rooms share a window, so you can see which side it's in. So you can see my operator buff is going to be on the other room because it's over there. I saw it through the window. Kind of saw it when I came in. So what I need to do is I need to not die to the trip mines like I did on a previous run. And I'm basically just going to have to run straight through the boss room and go grab the operator buff. Really? You got to try and kill me that way? Love a little recovery without the radiation. Alright, so boss will be in here. I'm going to head this direction because I need to go get my operator buff. I'm going to use Gunpowder Gamble just to clean out the room. That's going to allow me to pick this up. Now I've got my operator buff, so what I can do is I can either go to either side, and I just need to deposit it so it's available when I need it. So I'm going to go actually, I think this will take me either... Yeah, this will take me back to the first room, so I know the boss is actually not going to be in here. If you go straight to the boss room, that's totally fine. I think this one's just going to be the easier deposit. So I just need to deposit my scanner buff so it's available, and then this way it's available in the other room. But at this point, you can see I've got a few clones around, so if I want to go grab the suppressor again, I've actually got the option to do that. And if they're both on me like this, got to be a little careful there. But I can kill them both, maybe get a little ammo, and deposit. Now, there's always clones. There's never not a time you're going to not have clones. But do a little clearing, maybe get a little ammo, kind of a nice little way to manage things a little bit. So when I come in here, gonna have more enemies. Just gonna clear them out real quick. Now when I go into the next room, back where I kind of had to pass straight through, you're gonna notice... Did not really want to use that there, but I'm a little low on health. So now when we come in here, all buffs should be available, and that's kind of the thing. If you start the operator sequence, and then you're kind of at the point where you realize you need the scanner, that's what killed me on one of my runs, was the fact that I did not have the scanner available, and I was already locked in once you start the operator sequence. So, I'm going to check and see. I've got everything I need in here. I'm going to try and kill these few up here, just because I don't want them killing me from far away. Now I got the radiation stacking up. So, if you want to try and clear the room first, we can do that. Check a couple of clones. I'll take the ammo. Is this guy coming for me too? I got time. I'm not in a rush. It's kind of the thing. It's like I'm kind of showing you guys all of the options of how to manage these kind of sequences without really getting too crazy. So, all the clones will spawn whenever you do the rest of the chaos anyway, but if you make things a little lighter, it makes things better. So I'm going to try and grab this. I'm going to go back and get our shots. Now the first one's always the worst, so I tend to get this out of the way. It's on the other side of this pillar. And then if you stand here in the middle, you got the one up here. If you got this one, and then whatever one's closest to the one you're going to deposit is usually the one I do last. I've got a little time though. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot this one, and I'm going to deposit. I've got to go to get my actual scanner. Let's see which ones count. It's this guy right here. So I'm going to grab it. I'm going to go on in. And we're going to deposit. Now at this point, it's okay to let the operator buff get off of you because you've done the full sequence. The corrupted puppeteer is without a shield. Now, this is the point where this explanation of the video is probably going to be a little less beneficial, but that's because, one, I'm by myself, and if I die early, then I apologize, but let me get back up where we're going. So at this point, shouldn't have to worry about quite as much. You'll still probably have a few enemies, which, yes, you will. So know that these guys are still here, still as annoying as ever. And you're looking to get back to one of these two mid-connecting rooms, because in the middle, you're going to find a little portal, which will take you back up to the top. You will not have the, you won't have the, clones anymore. So again, if you really want to farm for some ammo, you're in a bit of a struggle right now, you can kind of go to the other side, maybe find some more. But at this point, I'm going to teleport up. Now we're back in this room. Now, if there was any ammo in here, should still be around. If you manage to farm some, that's up to you. All right, so once you've made it back up here, what's going to happen is we're going to go to the roof. Now, the floor is going to be lava. That's the first thing. I've gone to the back left corner most times, but don't trust any specific spot, so you got to be really aware of the flooring. Second thing, there are 3 back platforms, kind of from the entrance area, kind of the airlock, so think farther in the back of the room. He's going to go between those, and there's also going to be clones back there. Some of the clones will jump forward and attack you. You need to make sure and kind of keep those off of you. The other thing to know is at a certain point, you need to start killing the clones and looking for the orb, the, again, energy core that's going to drop. Then you're going to need to go into one of the side rooms, deposit that, hang out in there, and then from there, you're going to have some time to do damage to the boss afterwards. So probably helps to do a little Transcendent at first, get a little bonus damage from there. So we'll see what I can get done. I'm not expecting a ton per se. Just want to show you guys the mechanics. As a solo player, I think this is going to take a lot of loops for most of us. If you're able to do it, more power to you, but mostly just here to show you guys the mechanics. So let's go on up. So always trying to be moving, looking for what's on the ground is my bigger focus, just to be able to show you guys the mechanics right now. It's kind of my bigger goal at the moment. It's like I feel like I'm about to get lit up here. So I am at the point where I need to watch for what the clones are doing. Again, trying to kill one so eventually you can get that orb. Orb is there. So I gotta go ahead and grab it. Looks like this is the only one side of the room. Sliding in, barely getting in here. We're gonna go ahead and dunk. Now, from in here, we're gonna wait for things to transpire. Again, I'm not done much damage, not expecting to. Kinda wasn't the point. And then at this point, I'm just trying to look for him and do what damage I can from here without dying. So I'm just gonna try and get some machine gun damage on him. Pretty safe in here, and you're looking for the prompt on the bottom to basically say that he is gonna do his next thing. So from here, I'm gonna switch over to, you know, scout rifle probably, see what I can just get working. There may be some clones that come looking for you. If they do come, that's why I've got my fusion rifle. They still could come in here. And again, we're looking for the buff on the bottom. Did get some ammo to drop. So there's the anomaly again. This is where this will open up. Got to jump back in here. If you're risky enough, it's up to you. And then you'll jump back in here. Head back inside. And then you will rinse and repeat. So yeah, this is how it's going to go. Boss will, again, probably teleport right in front of us and do it all over again. So I'm not going to go through all the damage phases. I know my damage is low. There's going to be better damage rotations, better weapons. People will figure that stuff out. I just mostly wanted to show you the mechanics so you guys could see kind of how this would work. And again, this is kind of where you'll start. So again, we've got suppressor first. Looking to get these pieces done. Got another suppressor. And again, I'm digging this fusion rifle. It's from a previous season, but controlled burst, putting in some damage with it. Waiting for these guys to get here. And again, now I'm just waiting for that second wave to spawn. They should be up by now. Sometimes you gotta pull out the heavy weapon. So at this point, I'm not gonna keep going. I'm just gonna go ahead and wipe so you guys can kind of wrap this thing up and kind of get to any questions at this point. Because I'm gonna die with that suppressor, the viral suppressor. That's one of the things that has messed up many of my runs. Be careful about the viral suppressor, not even the viral, but the suppressor, the operator, or the scanner buff being on you for a minute. That is one of those ways you'll just be in the moment, and one of those ways that will definitely lead to your death. So I don't know when I'm going to work on the full solo run through of the boss, but I did want to show you the loop, the mechanics, so hopefully you understand kind of what goes on in here with the suppressor first to clear the 4. As long as you don't kill the operator and let the buff, basically what it happens is if you kill the operator or the scanner like in this room, and then the buff basically goes away after a while of sitting on the ground, you'll actually need to pick up the suppressor buff again to kill the 2 more clones that spawn, because that's when another viral, whatever, fill in the blank operator scanner is going to come up. So what I really, if you notice, what I tried to do was only kill the enemy with the buff that I needed at that time and leave the other one up and really just focus on some of the other ads. Sometimes it'll be accidental, and the scanner, you can get through that one pretty quickly, but always make sure you deposit the one you're done using, and then try and only kill the enemy with the buff that you need at that time, and kind of work through suppressor, then scanner, and then operator, and putting them, you know, in the sidewalls in that order. If you can do that, you'll only have the 4 clones to scan. If you get more clones to scan, it's because one of your buffs was on the ground for a while and then went away. So I think that covers everything for this. Kind of gives you an idea of what to expect up top as well, so you guys can see that one. Range supers are going to be good. When Tether comes back, I'm going to be really happy to be able to try what Tether is like on that one, just because it's something I really don't want to experiment with, but right now it's just been disabled. So if you enjoyed the guide, please leave a like below, leave a comment with any builds, tips, or anything I may have missed. There's full secrets out there. I'll probably put a video together over those later. Scarra did a really good job on that, but I'll try and get it to my channel as well. But shout out to him, because I think he and the community did a lot of work there. And of course, thank you guys for watching, getting through this guide. I know it's a long one, so hopefully this was helpful to you. If you want to support the channel, subscribe is the free way to do it. If you want to find me on Twitter, Twitch, you can find me over there. Thank you all very much. Have a good one, and I hope you enjoyed this guide and learned something. Now, good luck in the dungeon.